Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my first time tag, and if you got any like nasty ideas from the title, well, you're wrong, because yeah. So I have all the questions written down in my notebook, my handy dandy notebook. Wow. So let's just get started. Do you still talk to your first love? No. Absolutely not. I do not talk to him anymore. What was your first job? I worked at McDonald's for like 3 or 4 days, and it was just bad. No put down anybody that works at McDonald's or still works or has worked. I was not down for the job. Not at all. Plus, in my town, the McDonald's I worked at, it doesn't even exist anymore. The whole building is torn down, and it was not a good experience. There's a lot of reasons I only stayed there for like 3 or 4 days. Yeah. What was your first car? My first car was a 2000 Dodge Neon. It was forest green, and if you hear weird noises in the background, it's my dog, Gigi. She's licking her paw. She's a little crazy. But so my first car was my Dodge Neon, and I loved that car so much. I got it. I didn't buy it. My parents didn't even buy the car. My dad's mother, she's still alive. Okay, are you ready for this? She's 98 years old, and she was trying to drive, and she got that car brand new, and she had one. She wrecked it, and then she bought another one, the same exact thing. And, she just continually went blind, and she should not have been driving. So my dad got the car, and then when I turned 16, I got the car. And then I wrecked the car. Yeah, it wasn't good. I missed that car. Who was the first person to text you today? A friend. Who was the first person you thought of this morning? My friend. Who was your first grade teacher? My first grade teacher was someone that I know quite well. It was my mom. I was homeschooled kindergarten, first grade, and second grade, and I didn't go to school until third grade. And so, yes, I was quite good at the homeschool high five. I hated homeschooling. Absolutely hated it. I don't like homeschooling. No put down if you are homeschooled, but I hate it. It did not work for me. I needed people, and yeah, so I was one of those kids. Does that explain anything? Probably does. Who was your first best friend? Do you still talk? Okay, so this question was hard for me when I was thinking about it, because I feel like I kind of had like best friends that I had to have because I grew up going to church with them when I went to that church. But then again, I had my neighbors my one neighbor who I guess they were kind of my best friends too. But if I think about it, like when I went to school in third grade, that's when I had my opportunity of really meeting people that weren't forced upon me, I guess, in a way. So her name was Kelsey, and that's who I watched Titanic with for the first time. And we haven't seen each other since we were like freshmen in high school, but she's my friend on Facebook, and sometimes we'll comment on each other's statuses or something. That doesn't count. So I guess no, technically I really don't still talk to my first best friend. Yeah. First wedding you were in. Well, the first wedding I was ever in was my sister's. I was 3 years old, and I was a flower girl. And with that being said, I went on to being a flower girl 4 more times. So yes, 5 times altogether I was a flower girl. First thing you do in the morning. First thing I do in the morning is I grab my phone and I look at what time it is, and I look at Instagram, and I look at Facebook, text messages, sometimes YouTube. It honestly just depends. Yeah. My first concert I ever went to, I highly doubt any of you have ever heard of him. He was a Christian rapper named Carmen. Yeah, because that was cool. My first broken bone, was my arm, my left arm. And okay, it's kind of funny to me because I was at my sister's house and her two girls had like triple bunk beds, and I was standing on the bottom bunk bed and I was throwing my pillow up to the top one, and I fell backwards and broke my arm. It's a true story. It hurt pretty bad. No one believed that it was broken. And I'm like laying on the floor with like my arm bent funny. And I was like, I looked at my niece and I was like, go get my mom. And she goes, why? I said, my arm is broken. I like knew. And she like went and got my mom, but nobody was believing it was broken. But here my arm was like in a funny shape. And I'm just like in pain. And they waited like 4 or 5 hours before they took me anywhere because we had just gotten to my sister's. My sister lives several hours away in another state. So we had just gotten there when I broke my arm. We'd been there like maybe a half an hour, and they like refused to take me anywhere because everybody's like, oh, it's not broken, it's not broken. And I was like, oh, okay, because you know how it feels. And it was the first weekend of going back to school in 6th grade for me. And in 6th grade, I went to a different school than I had been going to in 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So it was that first weekend since school started. So I went back that Monday, and I had my arm, well, long story short, my arm was broken. They finally took me to the doctor because it kept swelling and getting more black and blue. And I was like, I really think something is wrong. And they're like, but you didn't cry or anything. And I was like, but I don't need to cry. And like that's when like everybody realized that I had a really pretty high pain tolerance, I guess. I don't know. But so they found out it was broken. It was broken into the growth plate, and it was pretty bad. But fortunately, I didn't have to have surgery or anything, so that's good. But yeah, so I went back to school. I was the new girl with the broken arm with a cast up to here on her arm, and it's you can kind of see it in the school pictures that year, and that's what I was most worried about. Talk about vanity. Go Mindy. My first piercing were my ears, and I was in 4th grade when I got them done. I got them done at Walmart, and I just had, like regular studs, and it was right around the time when Princess Diana died, so they're like, well, what kind of earrings do you want? And they said, we have these, this is a princess cut, so I was like, oh, I had to respect the Diana, and I, like, back then, I, like, loved her, so I got those, and then I took care of them, but several weeks into having them pierced, and you couldn't change it, it was like 2 or 3 weeks in. One morning I woke up, and I'm pretty sure it was this ear right here, and the earring had sunk, like the diamond part even, had sunk into the middle of my ear, like earlobe, so you couldn't see the diamond part anymore, so I thought that part had fallen off. I didn't really know what had happened, and it was like so swollen, hurt so bad. But so we went to Walmart that night, and the lady who pierced it was looking at it, and she could see something, like it hurt. It hurt so bad. She like was like pushing it like this, and she could kind of see that the diamond was in my ear, so she like pushed it out through the hole, like the diamond like out. Yeah, graphic. But it was a mess, and I took those earrings, like I kept trying to keep them, but months in and months in, they just would not stop getting infected. So I took them out, and my mom was like, I'm never signing for you to get your ears pierced again, blah, 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 blah. If God meant for you to have holes in your ears, you'd have been born with them. And finally, I was just getting mad because my sister got her ears pierced when she was 16. So I was like, well, what about when I turn 16? She goes, well, if I have to sign for it, I'm not doing it. And I was like, whatever. And finally I was like, you know what, Mom? Because my mom always gets perms. And I was like, you know what, Mom? If God meant for you to have curly hair, you would have been born with it. And she really didn't have much to say on that one. So I did get my ears re-pierced, I think my sophomore year of high school. This summer going into my sophomore year of high school. And I've had them ever since. But yeah, but what I learned, and I even had a hard time with those getting infected, and I've had other piercings throughout, but I've learned that my face is not sensitive to piercings, my ears are. Yes. My first movie that I remember going to. My first movie that I remember going to is Aladdin, and I saw it 2 or 3 times in theaters. Yeah, I was pretty hardcore. My first detention. Okay, technically I never really had like a detention where they kept you after school. I never got one of those, but one time, I can't believe I'm telling you this. One time I did get a lunch detention. Like I had to sit like by myself at the lunch table. Like there was like 2 tables, and like if you got a lunch detention you had to sit there and be quiet all lunch period, which is not easy for me. But my friends would not stop talking and laughing, and the teacher thought that I was laughing with them, and I wasn't. I was being good, like always, because I never got in trouble. They would get in trouble sometimes, but they were laughing and talking wouldn't stop, and so the teacher was like, Mindy, out in the hallway, and I started crying. Like, I didn't know what had happened. And then finally, the rest of the girls got sent out in the hallway, and then another teacher, Mrs. Peacock, yeah, I'm calling you out, Mrs. Peacock was in her classroom, and my friends were still laughing and talking. She comes out and looks at me and goes, Mindy, you have a lunch detention. And I was like, I didn't do anything. And I was bawling, and oh, it was bad. I was crying, so I was like, I'm never gonna get into college if I have a detention. Mindy has a lunch detention. Sit down. But so I'm freaking out. Like, you know how the schools have like counselors? I was in junior high, by the way. I was in 7th or 8th grade. I don't remember. But like schools have counselors. Well, the counselor heard like someone crying and like, I'm not gonna get. I was so upset because I didn't get in trouble in school. Okay, it just did not happen. And because I was always told that if I got in trouble in school, then I would get in even more trouble when I came home. So I was like, not for me. So the counselor came around. She's like, Mindy, come here. And I was like, I wasn't even talking or making noise or doing anything. But she goes, I know you weren't, honey. It's okay. And, you know, finally my friends got in trouble and they got regular detention, actually. But the teacher refused to take away my lunch detention. So I guess technically I did have a detention. I don't really like to talk about it. My first roommate, when I went away to college, I had some roommates. Yeah, not really going to divulge into that information. Wasn't a good time. First lessons in anything. Piano. I took piano lessons. I think that was the first lessons I would have taken. Yeah, I took piano lessons for 10 years. My first kiss. Okay, I was 17 years old, and it was in my neon, and it was in a parking lot at a school, and this guy kissed me, and I looked at him, and I said, ew. Yeah, that happened, and because he got a little too intense for our first kiss, okay? Just gonna say that. I wasn't prepared, so I looked at him, and I said, ew, and then I was like, that was really rude, wasn't it? And he goes, yeah. But I felt really bad, but it was gross to me then. So it took a while before I was all about kissing them boys. I was 18. Like, from the time I was 17, it was all in the same school year. It was all my senior year. But from the time I was 17 to 18, I wouldn't kiss. I would just kiss, but I wouldn't. I think you got it. That was a lot of information for that one. I'm not embarrassed at all. My first YouTube video, like the one I made, my first YouTube video that I made was for a competition, like on putting makeup on. No, that's not true. My first YouTube video is on a whole different channel, and it's when I first got my dog Gigi, and it's me talking in a British accent, pretending to be her. My first YouTuber I was subscribed to was the woman that I did a tutorial for, and it was Mama G, Makeup by Mama G. That was my girl. That still is my girl. I love her. Her makeup skills are bomb. She's just an amazing woman all around. She's my makeup role model. I love her. I swear I'm like her biggest fan. And you should probably go and subscribe to her. She has the cutest little boy. Oh, I just love her. I love her. I really, really do. I still talk to her too. She's really cool. I really like her. But that is all the questions. Mean that I'm tagging someone. And who do I tag? I tag, I'm gonna butcher this. Your name is Brittinie, but I don't know if it's Bowman or Bowman. So Bowman or Bowman's journey. Girl, you are tagged and you better do it. And then I tag, I cannot think of what her YouTube name is. I don't know if it's the same as her Instagram, but I tag my girl Elizabeth. Yes, girl, I tag you. Yeah, so that's everybody that I tagged, and I hope you enjoyed this and it wasn't too boring. Okay, bye. Love you.